Right. Hello, and welcome. My name is Mahatma R, and I want to discuss some feminism in Africa. I just wanted to get some takes on it. Next time we cover this subject, obviously, I'll get some actual feminists and female people, individuals here, and we can discuss it with them, get their perspective. Yeah, so if you like what you see, let it be known and show some love. Right, so this first one here is a TED Talk, right, by a lady named ELMA AKOB. This is from May 13, 2022. So, just reading the description here, it says Elma's talk, titled The Dangers of Western Feminism to African Women, explores her experience of an evolving perception of feminism as a young African woman. Elma Kobe is a young lady and vibrant lady who is incredibly passionate about her continent and being the change she wants to see. So, we're going to be getting her take on things and commenting on the way through. I think this should be fun. And yeah, if you are engaged or if you have your own feelings on this, once more, let it be known. So, let's go. See what Mrs. Akob has to say.
Is Western feminism dangerous to African women? As a young woman who was born in West Africa and has lived in South Africa for 13 years, the term feminism remains uncharted waters for many. It is rebellious, seen as taboo, and in my home country, Cameroon, it is a word that every mother hopes to never hear her daughter say, because it either means she hates men, men hate her, or she'll end up not getting married. But why? What does feminism mean to African women? Is feminism un-African? But most importantly, is feminism dangerous to the safety and empowerment of African women? Growing up like most girls, I went through the phase of hating boys because, boys have cooties, and books before boys because boys bring babies. But my friends thought I took this a little bit further when I decided to call myself a feminist. After watching videos, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's We Should All Be Feminists being at the top of that list, and reading publications from the fierce women who called themselves feminists, I was ready to take on this role as my own. And so when I stepped into a room, I would introduce myself as Elma AKOB, the radical feminist. Whenever there was a conversation pertaining equality, empowerment, and gender roles, everyone knew I would be involved and I would be brutal. In fact, if people saw me approaching and they were having a conversation, they would quickly change the topic because they knew I would call them out on their sexist ways and do so unapologetically.
Yeah, I know the type. Long live and all.
As a Pan-African citizen and a black woman who spat on the face of patriarchy and hated misogyny, I thought I was qualified enough to call myself a radical feminist. But I was wrong. There were certain aspects of radical feminism that I did not align with, such as what seemed to be the innate hate for all things male and masculine. And so I decided to call myself Elma, the liberal feminist. I was passionate about the liberation of women and what the core definition of feminism was. The equality of sexes, freedom from oppression, and gender equality. Not the extra bits that keep getting added on every single day. Right. When meeting other feminists, I would always have my feminism questioned as though there was some sort of a checklist or a mold that I needed to fit into to be called a feminist. Then there was the feminist jargon, a series of highly intellectual words that even with my high education, I still find it difficult to keep up with. I then found out about the racial injustices associated with the founders of feminism, and so I decided to call myself Elma, the intersectional feminist. But then, of course, the other feminists always told me, look, Elma, if you're not going to be 100% feminist, then don't be feminist at all. So I started introducing myself as Elma the feminist. But at this point, I was told I had watered down the movement so much and that I was using it for clout. And so now I am Elma, an individual who is appalled by the injustices faced by women, is an advocate for women empowerment, and understands, or rather stands for, gender equality.
She's very eloquent. Let me start off by saying that. I think she covered a lot of bases very succinctly, and she did raise a very poignant point because the feminist movement sort of eats itself naturally, That whole description of, there's a racial background with white women and ain't I a woman? Trying to tell the blacks, hey, listen, we're talking about women here. We don't got time for your Negro issues. Then you got the whole upper class versus middle class versus working class. Like, how could there is no, and then it's it's feminist to explore my sexuality, explore this side of me, my feminine side. No, it's not feminine to be a stay-at-home mom. And no, you gotta. There is no universal definition of it. There are only those ideal concepts that people try to latch on, but with all the noise around it, it makes it less clear to see.
Understands, or rather stands for, gender equality. Now, why is this story important? Because this is the narrative faced by a number of people who have tried to associate with the feminist movement, feeling ostracized and not welcomed by a movement because they don't fit into this mold. Especially the minorities, those who don't understand the language, those who can't relate to mainstream feminism, those who can't just take off their bras to make a statement, those like me. We don't fit this mold. But were we meant to?
That's the Western feminism mold, or third wave feminism, as you might call it. Burning bras, taking them off, free the nipple. It's like, yo, there are some real issues that you could be focusing on. And you have the privilege and platform and power to highlight these actual feminist issues globally. Your focuses are very subjective and narrow and, quite frankly, selfish. Not universal at all.
We don't fit this mold. But were we meant to? Was feminism created with the black woman's struggle in mind? Was feminism created for African black women? Now, although black women and white women share commonalities, during colonialism, white women, or rather women in general, were characterized according to race, class, and social status. White women were housewived, whereas black women and women of color were colonized. The creation of the domestic housewife meant the white woman's withdrawal from a very male-dominated and a male-created society. She was meant to look pretty and take care of the home and not participate in anything else such as politics and leadership or getting a job. And thus the foundations of feminism were founded on the principles of a white woman no longer wanting to be a housewife. She wanted to run for office. She wanted to drive a tractor. But that same femininity that was afforded to white women was completely stripped away from black women. Black women were seen as aggressive, sexually perverse, and capable of doing any sort of labor, hard labor or soft labor. Note that in comparison to the black woman, the white woman was already superior, emancipated, privileged, liberated, free. Thus, all she wanted was the equality of sexes. Black women, on the other hand, saw empowerment as something completely different. Empowerment to black women meant so much more. It was fighting against racism, fighting neocolonialism, fighting socially economic mechanisms. They were fighting.
Yeah, the white women only had to free themselves from the white man, but the white man was in the same household, if that makes any sense. So those who were thoroughly conquered, they had a longer fucking uphill struggle.
Neocolonialism, fighting socially economic mechanisms. They were fighting for their life. And so black African women, the early African feminists, were reluctant to align themselves with this term of Western feminism because they believed that it focused solely on the white woman, making her at the core of this movement, and it ignored the marginalization and the plight of the black woman. A movement that empowered one race of agenda and oppressed the other race of agenda is not welcomed by everyone. The women who spoke and thousands listened. Now, they were the advisors to chiefs. They led kingdoms alongside their kings. They made a difference. They had influence. The manner in which feminism is defined with such strict borders that do not accommodate tradition, the fact that African culture is looked down upon as oppressive, and the fact that women who choose to be housewived are seen as less, and most importantly, the fact that cancel culture doesn't even allow us to have a broad overview on the subject of feminism, I don't think it is suited for the African narrative. Now, let's quickly chat about cancel culture, and I'm sure this is something you can relate to because it's very prevalent in our society today. The fact that someone can say something and be completely cancelled for it, and someone will say the exact same thing and society will say it's okay. Unfortunately, feminists have been seen at the forefront of cancel culture. Socially charged guardians of galaxy who get to decide if we are woke and correct and good
This
or
lady's
bad,
spitting right now.
and not even capable of being
Preach.
seen as worthy human beings. People are scared. People are afraid to talk, afraid to have opinions, afraid to breathe wrong in case you have the cancel culture vultures breathing at the back of your neck.
I don't know. I feel like this was from last year, right? Yeah, May 13, 22. I feel like that's slowly starting to subside. People are tired, yo. Mofos are tired of... Yeah, obviously it's still prevalent within our culture. You know, walking on eggshells on the very basics. You know, it's like you look at something it's like, okay, sure, I'm not a bigot in saying what the fuck, right? Oh my god. Anyway.
The problem with cancel culture is that it stops the ability of learning, the ability of educating. And I know what you're thinking. ELMA, there's Google, there are resources out there and everyone should be able to educate themselves. But when you sign up to be an activist, you sign up to educate.
Literally. It's like, explain it to me, yo. I got stuff to do today. Like, I don't care, really. But you seem passionate about it, so tell me what you're talking about. Most people are empathetic. Most people are sympathetic. Most people are reasonable. And they're good people, I would say. A solid 84% of people are decent human beings. And they might be a dick sometimes. They might not have patience on a particular day. But they're not trying to make anyone uncomfortable, you know? Hey, this new thing you're talking about, talk to me about it. You should know. It's like, why should I know? Like, I don't care. You just mentioned it, so how about you? All right, let's finish this up.
Able to educate themselves, but when you sign up to be an activist, you sign up to educate. You sign up to empower, and you sign up to make a difference. So it is our role to keep on educating. It is our role, because if we do not educate, then progress will not be made in society.
All right, well, this is me getting some education, you know, trying to be educated myself. Those are obviously just snippets of it. I'll post the link to the full TED Talk in the description. But yeah, these conversations certainly need to be louder, because right now it's a free-for-all, and as Africans we don't know how to ask the right questions. So like, I have people who start talking, you know, this whole liberal talk within African context and African cultures, like in Malawi or Congo, Zambia, Tanzania. I'm like, bro, like we don't have the basics yet. Now, that stuff's not gonna fly. Maybe go to the States, go to Europe, go to Finland. Yeah, you'll get receptive ears there. But here, people have got the most fundamental, rudimentary, basic issues to worry about. Even if you are right, and you most probably are right, you can't skate on that. Being right is not a virtue. You gotta talk to people. You gotta meet them where they're at, not where you're at. Certainly if you want to change any minds. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Dangers of Western Feminism. Empowerment to African women. AKOB. I'll see what else she's got going on, you know. That was pretty enthralling, I would say. Yeah. I'll check you guys for the next one. Peace.